reorganize these papers here. No worries, no worries. Thank you for that warm introduction, and good evening, everyone. Thank you for everyone who's here, to everyone who donated, and to everyone who believes that healing is a right for everyone. I want to thank the staff, clinicians, advocates, community leaders, board members, commissioners, and everyone who believes that mental health care, despite the color of your skin or the zip code you reside in, is something that you should have access to. It is an absolute honor to join you all today as we celebrate the incredible work of expanded mental health services and the community partners who have made healing possible for thousands of families across our city. Tonight's theme, Rooted in Care, couldn't be more fitting, because roots are what keep us grounded. Roots nourish us. Roots sustain us through terrible storms. For those of us who live in Chicago have bear witness to that in the last 5 days. And when roots are strong, entire communities flourish. That is exactly the work that Expanded Mental Health Services has done here in the city of Chicago for decades. Expanded Mental Health Services has been more than a provider. It has been a place where people have been reminded that they matter. A place where families have found support instead of judgment. A place where young people have discovered hope instead of isolation. And a place where healing begins. That kind of work changes lives. And tonight, we celebrate not only the organization, but the countless community partners who have stood shoulder to shoulder in this mission. Because healing has never been the responsibility of one organization alone. Healing belongs to all of us. As an Alderperson, I spend every day listening to residents, to unhoused neighbors who are exhausted of waking up in the cold, of seniors who are terrified of being priced out, to young people who watch their mothers be ripped away by federal agents and whose wives never seen their husbands come home from work. I've watched neighbors grieve loved ones, and I have seen people worried that their loved ones will never come back. Families navigating trauma, violence, housing instability, financial stress, and the uncertainty about what tomorrow may bring. For so many people in the city of Chicago, it's not whether they have experienced trauma. The question is how much. And yet for generations, our communities were told to carry that pain quietly, to be strong, to push through, to survive, but survival cannot be our only goal. Our communities deserve the opportunity to heal. Healing is not weakness. The Kedzie Center, the LOSA Center of Hope teach us every single day that healing is not weakness. It is courage. It is justice. It is action rooted in radical love. Healing is the investment in our future, especially today. We are living through a time when so many people feel disconnected, lonely, and ultimately become apathetic. Our young people are facing unprecedented levels of anxiety and depression. Families are carrying the economic pressures that make every day feel heavier. I have families making difficult decisions between paying a ComEd bill and putting food in their refrigerator, and yet we are asking them to push on. Families in our communities are navigating violence, political, structural, systemic violence. while simultaneously trying to build peace in their schools, in their homes, and on their blocks. And too often, the systems that should support people arrive too late, and many times not at all. That is why organizations like Expanded Mental Health Services are so essential. They remind us that care should not be reserved for those who can afford it. Care should not depend on your zip code. Care should not depend if you have immigrant status or if you are Black, Latino, Asian, queer, straight, trans, non-gender conforming. You see, care should arrive at your door no matter how you show up. And that is what Expanded Mental Health Services has provided our community. Care should be available to everyone, because every single person deserves dignity. That is the kind of city that we should be building, one where mental health is treated with the same urgency as physical health, one where asking for help is not seen as an act of weakness, but as an act of strength, one where every child has access to counseling before a crisis occurs, one where every family knows that they are not alone, where healing is moving into the very fabric of our neighborhood, where policymakers don't put profit over people, where we have an important responsibility to invest, not fund campaigns. You see, we can afford affordable housing, we can improve public safety, we can strengthen our schools, we can even overcome this economic crisis. But we must recognize that healthy communities require emotionally healthy people. We cannot build thriving neighborhoods while ignoring the emotional well-being of people who live there. Mental health isn't separate from public safety. It isn't separate from good education. It isn't separate from economic development. It isn't separate from equity. It is the foundation of all of it. That is why, as an Alderperson, as a legislator, I know that making investments in mental health care is what builds a safer city. I know that these investments make our families stronger. These investments make our children and our young people more courageous. These investments is the future that we should be building. And here's what gives me hope. Every person in this room represents someone who chose community over isolation, compassion over indifference, action over complacency. Tonight we celebrate partners who understand that none of us heal alone. We heal in community, in relationship with one another. We heal when someone chooses to listen, when someone chooses to believe in us, when someone says that I am here. It happens when a therapist walks alongside a family, when a school counselor helps a student believe in themselves again, when a community organization chooses to help an unhoused resident rather than criminalize them for being poor, when a community organization opens its doors, when neighbors look out for one another. And during Operation Midway Blitz, many of you all wore whistles on your chest, protected your blocks, committed yourself to Ice Watch, and helped keep neighbors safe. When we remember that belonging is one of the most powerful forms of medicine that we have, we engage in a true process of healing. The truth is, our greatest strength has always been each other. I think about neighborhoods I represent: Hermosa, Logan Square, West Town, Humboldt Park, and Belmont Craven. Communities that have endured decades of disinvestment. Communities that have experienced loss. Communities that have been told what they lack instead of being recognized for what they have. But I also see something else. I see resilience. I see neighbors feeding one another. I see block clubs, mutual aid, young people organizing, elders mentoring. I see families who refuse to give up on one another. I see communities rooted in care. That spirit reminds us that healing isn't always clinical. It's cultural, relational. It is a collective experience. When we invest in community, we invest in mental wellness. When we create spaces where people belong, we reduce isolation. When we choose to love one another over fearing one another, we create connection over division and hope over despair. We collectively make healing truly possible. So tonight, as we honor this remarkable organization and all of the phenomenal honorees and its partners, let us renew our own commitment. Let us continue advocating for policies that expand access to mental health care. Let us work with one another to build a community and city that we truly deserve. So I want to thank tonight's honorees. I want to thank every single donor, every volunteer, every clinician, every staff member, every advocate and partner who believes that healing is possible. So in the theme of rooted in care, let's remember to water our roots, to grow with one another. Because when roots are deeply embedded, they grow, produce trees, create shade, provide comfort, and provide love. So let's deepen those roots, let's continue to care for one another, and may we continue growing a city where everyone has the opportunity, not just to live, survive, but let's create a community that heals, that belongs, that flourishes, and that can truly show up to be the leader of what healing and radical love truly look like. Thank you.